Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel. As part of my delivery from Jester, I got in Legends of Wrestling from Filsinger Games. This is actually the last game that I've got to get caught up on for unboxings, and I'm all caught up until another delivery comes in. But let's crack it open and see what we've got in here. I call it an unboxing, but it's also going to be an inventory video with potentially a demo match, depending on how long it takes me to go through everything. So we can see that we've actually got pretty good box art here. We've got the Road Warriors, Gorgeous George, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Jimmy Snuka, and King Kong Bundy. Ages 10 to adult, 1 or 2 player. Oop. Oh, Christ. Hold on. Picture got kind of jarred here, so bear with me while I get that sorted back out. There we go. I gotta be careful about stepping on the cable that's holding my battery. The Legends of Wrestling are here. Here's your chance to run your own wrestling federation. You'll be able to schedule classic matches pitting Jimmy Snuka against Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, or the Road Warriors against the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. How about Ox Baker versus the Sandman in a cage match? Or Nick Bockwinkel versus Ted DiBiase in a Texas death match? It's your call. You're the promoter and booker, and you'll have the greatest wrestling roster in history at your fingertips. Game includes 24 Legends playing cards, wrestling program handbook, wrestling action charts, basic and advanced rules book, and 2 dice. When it came in, the box was largely folded up. I've managed to at least get it back to where the box is somewhat usable, but we'll go ahead and crack this open and see what we've got in here. Of course, the dice, to the lack of, well, not to the lack of shock of, well, yours truly, the box is still, and the dice aren't included in here. So, yeah, I was planning on going live. I'd announced it during both my other videos earlier today, Jester. You didn't see the broadcast go up, but figured I'd be starting soon. I figured I'd hold off until you had a chance to go through the unboxing for Blood and Fury. That looks like that game, I'll have to admit, looks like a little bit too much for me. But we can put the box to the side and we'll see what we've got here. So we've got our Out of the Ring chart. Out of the Ring and a Death Jump chart. Kind of taking me back to like Jeff Hardy jumping off the set at Bound for Glory 2005 for TNA. Into the Turnbuckle and Feud Table. So it looks like when a feud match ends. Outside Interference and Pin Save, so only in a tag team match, presumably. Into the Ropes. Choice Situations. That says CH followed by a letter. Okay? Pin Saves and Outside Interference. I did play a couple matches earlier, too, of TV Pro Wrestling 2 by Downey Games. That looks like another interesting game for wrestling purposes. Choice Situations. Looks like... Wait. It looks like there's 2 sets of tables for everything here, which makes sense because it's base 2-player game. So let's see. Death Jump. So where is the... Okay. Right, 2 sets of charts. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, we can put those out of the way for the time being. Then we've got the actual rule book, which will give that a cursory thumb through before we start inventorying all of this. And holy cow, we got a lot of expansions here. So we got expansion 2 with Barry Windham, Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, J.J. Dillon, Ivan Koloff advertised. Legends of Wrestling Federation. Another set of game instructions. Okay. And then this looks like another roster book that I'm thumbing through very briefly. Card and Dice expansion pack. Okay, so we've got our charts. Let's go ahead and give the rulebook our cursory thumb through. Then we'll start inventorying what all we've got for wrestlers. And like I said, if the inventory part doesn't take too long, we may try out a sample match here. Just to see what I think. Just to see how straightforward I think the game is. I am still working on my off-season content schedule right now. And as of now, I've got a card at least for... I'm planning on putting TV Pro Wrestling 2 at least on the channel during the off-season. All right, introduction. So we've got all of our information there. 6 possible moves. We've got the charts. How pin works. Wrestler may roll pin. Has been covered. When a player rolls pin, rolls both dice. If the result of the roll is the same or lower than the number following pinned, wrestler's pinned. 2 core rulebooks because you bought the black and white series first, then upgraded to the full color, so that's why there's 2 copies. Okay. I figured it came... My initial guess was I thought it came with two sets of the rule books because it can be a 2-player game, so giving each player their own set. But that makes sense as another explanation why. Finishers. When a wrestler's finisher is rolled, automatically rolls both dice on the pin. Okay. Disqualifications. Optional advanced rules to build in fatigue. Finisher ratings, roll finishers, agility power ratings. Okay. Choice situations, add 1 moves. Feud table. Okay. No DQ, cage match. Okay. Definitely options for bringing or turning into a booker. So let's start inventorying these wrestlers and other zoom out, Phoenix, and see who all we've got. I've got my iPad off shot where I've got a workbook that I'm going to start putting together just to see who all I've got. So it looks like our first legend here, our first wrestler is Blackjack Mulligan. I'll call him Legend. I've got tabs right now in an Excel workbook on my iPad for Legends, WWE, WCW, and ECW. Color was more expensive, so you didn't want to do that one first. That makes sense. Let's see. Blackjack Mulligan. I see the Big Boss Man, which I'm going to call him WWE, since that was his character there. So we'll start Legends, WWE. We've got Bubba Ray Dudley for ECW. Okay, where did his moves end up? We've also got Devon Dudley on here. I'll have to staple that together. Fortunately, I brought a stapler in, so I could do that. Knock it off, iPad. All right, we'll give this a staple. Couple staples, that way I can flip it over. And we do have allies for Joel Gertner and Sign Guy Dudley. Where's the pin rating on here? The pin rating should be on the backside, I would think. Oh, I wonder if it's based on... It's probably, now that I look at it, it's probably based on the number next to where it says pin on level 3 defense. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm gonna keep the Bubba Ray Dudley art card off to the side since I'm still looking for his moves. We've got Terry Funk and the Funkers artwork. We'll staple that together as well. Harley Race. We'll call him Legend. Start with 0, roll 2d6, each time raise the number by 1, okay? So Harley Race can go in the Legends pile. I'm still looking for Bubba Ray Dudley's moves. So Animal, which will go in Legends since he was everywhere. Excuse me. Hawk also was everywhere. Buddy Rogers. The longer the match goes, the higher the pin ratings go up and the better chance it'll end. Makes sense. B. Brian Blair. You go in that pile. Frank Gotch, naturally. Oop, hang on. Got a couple of wrestlers stuck together. Killer Kowalski. And the main reason I know that name is because he trained Triple H. King Kong Bundy, we'll call him Legend as well, so he was everywhere. Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Greg the Hammer Valentine. All of his moves. Johnny Valentine. Some of these are old names that I don't necessarily recognize, admittedly. Because some of these names are well before my fandom. Jimmy Valiant. Johnny Valiant. Call him Legend as well. Nikolai Volkov. Put him under Legends as well. I somewhat recognize Nikolai Volkov, but again, before my primary fandom. Blackjack Mulligan. Wait, I've got two Blackjack Mulligans there. We'll just leave them both. Umaga. That's a name I definitely recognize from WWE days. Tommy Angel. Professor Toru Tanaka will call a Legend. Let's see. Twisted Trixie. Okay. That's interesting. We'll call that... we'll make a separate women's section, I guess. So, we'll just call that women's. Even though some of those names I'm definitely going to recognize. Twisted Trixie. So I'll put that pile there. Wahoo McDaniel, there's a name I definitely recognize. I know the name, but didn't get to watch him work. Billy Gunn. Wait. So we've got Bart Gunn's art on Billy Gunn's worker card. And and the two are reversed. So basically we've got the smoking guns at any rate. I wonder if it's going to go through some of their other gimmicks. Yokozuna. Definitely a name I recognize. Oop. Hold on. Oh, it should be under WWE. gonna... Let's see, that's Yuji Nagata. Might have multiple copies of guys because different sets had many guys in them, so some crossovers. Okay. Good to know. And sorry if I seem like a control freak with all of this. I'm just trying to inventory what all I've got, so I determine what I want to do in terms of maybe building out a wrestling federation with this. But I have the similar hesitation you do in that I just don't have the time to put into it. But I might be willing to try it out. Virgil, and multiple copies of that one. So those can go in that pile. And The Undertaker, one of my favorites. Definitely a WWE guy. Let's see, the spoiler. That'll go under Legends. The grappler. Terry Taylor. Terry Gibbs. Hiroshi Tanahashi. And yes, The Rock. Anybody who's been a wrestling fan for 5 seconds knows The Rock. Typhoon. Actually, the Natural Disasters are going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. I still somewhat follow the product, but I don't follow it on like a weekly basis where I'm sitting down and watching the TV product. Bob Sweetin. Bruiser Bob Sweetan looks like a legend of Mid-South. Very funny Jester. Mr. Olympia. Killer Carl Cox. Jerry Saggs. Part of the Nasty Boys. We'll call him Legend. I'm wondering if I'm going to have Brian Knobbs in here somewhere. Ooh, and I think I just found I think I found my sample match. Abyss versus The Undertaker, so it looks like I need a TNA sample section as well. Come on. My iPad is not being cooperative with me. So let's separate out Abyss and Taker for the time being. That way, if this doesn't go obscenely long, that'll be an intro match I'll put on the channel. The Iron Sheik. We'll put him under the WWE pile. Red Bastion. I'm looking at this pile. This is probably going to be a long video as I inventory everything. Bobo Brazil. So I think we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit more of a chill stream. We've got the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Since I expect this to be a long stream, Evening, Ben. How you doing? As I was saying, we're going to make this a chill stream where if you want to ask me questions under AMA rules, go ahead and leave them in the chat with an AMA tag and ask away. AMA rules are going to apply, though. If they're too personal, I won't answer them. Gorgeous George and Cherie Dupree. One card and dice game that is actually more realistic than the real life sport. That's kind of the same impression I've gotten out of the Giant Baba. That's the kind of the same impression I got when I did my when I did my sample playthrough of TV Pro Wrestling 2 earlier this afternoon. When am I going to do my top 100 games of all time? Don't know yet when I'm going to get to that. I was hoping to do it during the off season, but I definitely want to do some gaming during the off season once the schedule settles down a bit. I'm getting a better idea of what that's going to look like, but I'll talk more about that during my 1985 season recap and reveal show. We've got the Destroyer. Broken Matt Hardy. Robert Gibson. I don't know why he's getting listed in the TNA set, but that's where I'll leave him for the time being. Crazy Steve. No, I want the two Z's. An older version of The Undertaker. I wonder if it's got the same moves as the more modern Taker. No. I can already see there are some very different moves here. But we will use the older version of The Undertaker, and if I find a masked version of Abyss, that's what I'll use instead. I'll use a masked version of Abyss against The Undertaker if I'm able to do a sample match without it getting too obscenely late. Relate best to the 80s, early 90s of NWA and WWF, little AWA. That's well before my time, Ben. I think my time with wrestling, I really got into wrestling during the Attitude Era with Austin, Rock, Undertaker, those guys, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. So that's kind of my frame of reference on when I got into wrestling. I have gone back and watched some of Hogan's early run, but who hasn't seen WrestleMania 3? So we've got Rikishi. That'll be a WWF wrestler, or WWE, I should say. Help if I could spell correctly. We've got another Yokozuna. Looks like in his much heavier days, that probably would have been like 95, 96 Yokozuna. Tatsumi Fujinami. Playboy Buddy Rose. And I see a wrestler to the shock of not yours truly. The game himself, Triple H. I figured I'd be seeing him at some point as I sifted through this library. Then we've got Ox Baker. Nick Bockwinkel. That'll probably be a name you recognize, Ben. Mankind. Tiger Jeet Singh. Do the cards list when the wrestler was active? No, they don't list when the card was active, unfortunately. Leo Burke. Pat Patterson. The only reason I recognize that name so well is because they crammed him being the first Intercontinental Champion down everybody's throat. Apparently he won a fictional tournament. He won some tournament in Rio de Janeiro. Dr. D. David Schultz. And admittedly, the legend category is kind of going to be a catch-all for me here. Eric the Red. Gene Kaniski. And at the rate things are going, like I said, I'm probably not going to be able to do a sample match on the channel here. Whipper Billy Watson. Killer Carl Krupp. Wolfman Farkas. Canadian Wildman. Johnny Powers. Jay Youngblood. Brother Nero Jeff Hardy. So presumably there's going to be a different version of the Hardys coming out. That should go under the TNA section. Ricky Morton, and again, I do not understand at all why the Rock and Roll Express it has an Impact Wrestling logo on there. Let's see, where was I? Oh yes, Ricky Morton. A lot of work. It was a lot of work you gave me, but we'll find out here soon enough. Figured I'd know most of them and would enjoy playing it. That's why you put it aside. Well, we're going to find out soon enough how much I enjoy playing this game. We've got Jake the Snake Roberts. That's a name I definitely recognize. We'll put him under the WWE pile. Admittedly, I more know about Jake Roberts from the rise and fall of Jake the Snake as part of DDP Yoga, a movie that came out a while back. We've got two versions of Sergeant Slaughter. Looks like we've got Iraqi Sympathizer Sergeant Slaughter and American G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter. We'll put both of those in the WWE pile. Oh, we've got a third version of Sergeant Slaughter, too. Delightful. And then I just saw The Ultimate Warrior before I got sidetracked by the third copy of Slaughter. Earthquake, definitely hearing a lot of stories about John Tenta and how he was a gentle giant. Sergeant Slaughter is an Iraqi sympathizer. Do you need to check your glasses prescription? No, you don't need to check your glasses prescription, Ben. Back in, God, when was it? 1990, I think it was. There was a storyline around Slaughter being an Iraqi sympathizer to the point where he ended up beating the Ultimate Warrior at the Royal Rumble 1991 and won the WWE title. He ended up main eventing WrestleMania 7 against Hulk Hogan. Of course, lost the title there, but yep, Sergeant Slaughter actually for a time was an Iraqi sympathizer. Tito Santana we've got there. Gory Guerrero of the famous Guerrero family. Bam Bam Bigelow. We're looking for his art. So we'll put that aside. There's Bam Bam Bigelow's art. Just after you fell out of interest in pro wrestling, very possibly. Slaughter started in AWA before moving to WWF. He's been around a lot of promotions, as far as I know back in the day. So we've got Bam Bam here. We've got Pitbull number 1. I'm again looking for art for him, which I've got the art right there. Good thing I brought a stapler in with me. Pitbull number 2, and presumably I'll be looking for the art on this one as well, which I've got the art for that right there. I'm still looking for Bubba Ray Dudley's moves as well. We'll put that in the ECW pile. Mikey Whipwreck, and I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts I've got the art right here, which I do. Right. Pitbull number 1. Pitbull number 2. Mikey Whipwreck. There we are. Rhino, and shocker of shockers, not. I've got the art. You check the staples in here. Got plenty in here. Roadkill, and got the art. Lance Storm, and I've got the art here. Yep. And I just found Bubba Ray Dudley's moves. I had to put that aside for quite a while as I was looking for Bubba Ray's moves. But I've got that right here. We've got Mil Mascaras. Definitely in the Legends. I'm going to start another tab for managers just because I saw another name that I've got that's going to work better there. Jim Cornette. And we even got a ring announcer here, Gary Michael Capetta. Interesting. So Gary Michael Capetta. Hopefully Howard Finkel's in here too. I'd love to have Howard Finkel be able to announce the action here. Jumpin' Jim Brunzel. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. What does he do? Who, Gary Michael Capetta? No, it looks like Capetta is a ring announcer to help get the action off to an unpredictable start. So he's interrupted as he begins announcing the participants. Roll the dice. All right. Don Leo Jonathan. Cowboy Bob Orton. We'll put him under Legends. Captain Lou Albano. I'm going to put him down as a manager. Howard Finkel is the gold standard for that role. That's why I'm hoping as I go through this, I do find him in here somewhere. Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Billy Red Lyons. Rikidazan. I probably just butchered the pronunciation of that. Japanese is not my first language, obviously. Although I did take a year of it in college. Jim Londos. S.D. Jones. Ed Strangler Lewis. Yukon Eric. So I can speak and write Japanese? No. I took a year of Japanese in college, but that was that the first or second year after I transferred? Was it my sophomore or my junior year in college? I think it was I'm going to say it was my junior year in college where I took a year of Japanese. But no, that's a language I really would want to go back and learn if I had a chance. Ida Mae Martinez, that'll go in the women's section. Conan, I'll put him in the WCW section, even though he's definitely a big legend. I'll just put him in Legends. Took a semester or two of Russian in college. Know the alphabet and a few words, but that's about it. About all I remember from Japanese in college is that there are three writing systems. There's hiragana, katakana, and kanji, but that's about all I retained. I think katakana was used for English words that didn't necessarily translate very well. We've got Antonio Rocca here. Sherry Martell. She'll go into managers as well, even though she was a very capable wrestler from what I hear. Dan the Beast Severn. Severn, I know, is a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Dick Murdoch. No language for me. All good, Jester. I also took a couple of years of... we're getting into a lot of the Guerrero family. We've got Chavo Guerrero Sr., presumably. So, Sherry Martell, 50-50, wrestler manager. Well, I'm gonna throw her in the managers for now, but she's definitely not above getting her hands dirty in the ring. Hector Guerrero. Big Cat Ernie Ladd. Legend of Mid-South. Oh, did I have an Ernie Ladd in here already? Does not look like it. Nope. I do now on the list. Another copy of Terry Taylor. So there should be... let's see if I've got Terry Taylor on... Yep. I've got 2 copies of Terry Taylor. Good to know. Let's see, the Natural Butch Reed, or Hacksaw Butch Reed. He'll go on the Legends pile. Bob Roop. Bill Watts, who admittedly I know more from his promoter days. Heard a lot of weird stories about him. We've got another copy of Jake Roberts, probably before he became the Snake. And I see another Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So I'm going to go find... There we are. Yep, so we've got those two. Then we've got the Great Kabuki. Yep. Whoa, what the hell did you do? Not you guys, I'm looking at what in the world Excel on my iPad did. Skander Akbar, he'll go under managers as well. Magnum TA. Lars Anderson. Scott Flash Norton. We'll put him in the WCW pile, which I don't think I have a WCW pile yet. Well, I do now. Rick Steiner will also go in the WCW pile. The Assassin. Wild Bill Irwin. I'm going to move the Assassin from WCW to the Legends pile. Junkyard Dog. Paul Orndorff. So we've got, that should be a second copy of Paul Orndorff. Let me see if I can find him on here. Yep. One Man Gang. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, yep. Manny Fernandez. We've got Matt Hardy from the Hardy Boys. Probably, actually might be from his Mattitude days. That's definitely going in the WWE pile. Bubba Ray Dudley from... Definitely with his WWE spelling. Hardcore Holly. Devon Dudley. Ooh. That could be an interesting matchup of putting the WWE Dudley Boys against the ECW Dudley Boys. I'll have to give that some thought. Test. Ken Shamrock. Now we're starting to get to names I recognize from the Attitude Era. The Godfather, because of course. Scott Hall with New World Order. That's going straight in the WCW pile. Kevin Nash, also going straight in the WCW pile. Superstar Billy Graham. Hope I could spell Graham correctly. Cactus Jack. And probably the artwork right here. Yep. That'll go in the ECW pile. Balls Mahoney. Looking for artwork there. Timothy Flowers. Yeah, there's a lot of cards here. This is not all what came with the game. I've actually unearthed evidence of several expansions in here. Jester, I guess, bought a lot for this game, and I'm figuring out... The idea of this stream is to figure out what all I've got in here. Just for kind of inventory purposes, we've got New Jack, along with his artwork. John Cronus. Perry Saturn, so I believe that makes up the Eliminators. John Cronus and Perry Saturn, I believe, were the Eliminators. And of course, if you guys want to have some fun with this and share your own memories from your wrestling days, feel free. Again, this is kind of a chill stream tonight, as I'm just going through inventorying what I've got. Shane Douglas, along with moves. Brian Lee. Little Spike Dudley. I more remember him in his WWE days. Your mom was the big one into wrestling in your family. How you got into it? WTBS was not for Braves baseball. Probably Saturday Night Live at 6:05 on Saturday nights, right? Tommy Dreamer, Color Me Unsurprised, along with the artwork. Rey Mysterio Jr., so I'll put him under the WCW pile. Because of the Rey Mysterio Jr., that's why he's going in the WCW pile. Killer Brooks will go in the Legends pile. Gordon Soley was the WTBS call guy on TV. Do they have TV commentators in this set? Probably not, but we're going to find out. Where was I? Oh, yes. I think I was just adding Killer Brooks to the Legends tab. Jester's too generous. Well, people who benefit from that generosity sure appreciate it, Jester, and I'm one of them who does. Skip Young. We've got TJ Perkins, looks like a Ring of Honor set. So we'll make a Ring of Honor tab as well. Dino Bravo. And I definitely recognize that art. That sure looks like Psycho Sid, who passed away last year, I want to say. Sid Vicious. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Let's see. Tommy Angel. I already have a Tommy Angel on here? Okay. Let's see if we can track him down in here. Well, I'll clear him out later. Tom Jenkins. People have been generous to you, so you like to pay it back and do it for others. Blood and Fury tonight was a gift from Lock and Load. Payback night. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Tony Parisi. Tony Bourne. We've got Super Destroyer. Some of these have to be fictional wrestlers. Let's see. This is Stu Hart, of course, the Hart Family Dungeon. This is probably Dr. Death Steve Williams. Yep. And we've got Stan Hansen. Ian or Owen? Ian. Looks like Kane, but I don't think it is. Nope, Skull Murphy. Let's see. That's another Paul Orndorff. So that probably makes my... That makes my third Paul Orndorff. Looks like another Shane Douglas. The franchise Shane Douglas. Looks like another Sergeant Slaughter. You could probably guess that just by the chin alone. Yep. Let's see. Takeshi Morishima. Morishima. Ken Patera. Eduardo Carpentier. I guess you must have liked Sergeant Slaughter. Sweet Daddy Siki. And I think I recognize this art. This looks like Samoa Joe. Yep. As I drop it, yep. Samoa Joe will put that in the TNA pile. And oh, do I recognize this artwork? One of my favorite characters of all time. That is Kane. That's gotta be Kane. Yes, that's my horrible impression of his debut call at Bad Blood 1997. Alexis Smirnoff. Big John Studd. We've got Bobby Blaze. Art seems different between the two. Maybe, well, whatever. Maybe he had a beard at one point and then shaved it off. I don't know. Tim Horner. No. No, I think some of these cards got printed differently. Yeah, we got some screwed up prints here. Tim Horner. To be clear, I'm not blaming you for the screwed up prints, Jester. I'm just making an observation. Tony Anthony. Tex McKenzie. We've got another great Kabuki here with Gary Hart, it looks like. I will put that in a WCCW set. World class. Hollywood John Tatum. That looks like another Dino Bravo. Yep. I think I just had a Dino Bravo not too long ago. There you are. Raven. Along with his moveset. Stevie Richards with moveset. And Balls Mahoney's artwork, finally. Okay. Mike Awesome, along with artwork. Too Cold Scorpio. Axel Rotten with moveset. Johnny Grunge. I'm hoping Rocco Rock is in here somewhere, so I've got Public Enemy. It'll just make another tag team I can add to a potential tag team division. There's Rocco Rock, but we got the Blue Meanie first. As I mentioned, there's Rocco Rock. And a favorite for a lot of people, Eddie Guerrero in an ECW set. Masato Tanaka, rivalry with Mike Awesome, was apparently legendary back in the mid-90s. I really didn't watch much ECW back then. Baron von Raschke. That'll go in the Legends stack. Booker T. We'll put him in the WWE set, since that's when he really started leaning into that catchphrase. Tajiri, looking for moveset. That's probably a Brian Pillman of some kind. Yep. Bad News Allen. Owen Hart, he's definitely one who went way too young. I think he was a few years younger than I am now when he passed at Over the Edge in 1999. I still hear a lot of stories about that show. Another Stu Hart. I hear a lot of stories about that Over the Edge show where they decided to continue the show and nobody was even feeling it after that point, watching Owen die in the ring. I do remember hearing stories about that from back around that time. And just kind of how in shock everybody was about that happening. And we'll just add another Stu Hart here. This is already turning into a very long inventory video. Another Bob Sweetan. Bobby Jaggers. Continental Lover. That's probably not Ric Flair. Nope, Eddie Mansfield. There are a few names I'm very surprised I haven't come across in this set yet. Scott Casey. Although there might have been some, well, I was going to say maybe some licensing issues. But this doesn't seem like a game that's that concerned with licensing issues. I'm going to add Abyss and Taker back to their sets, though, because I don't think I'm getting to a sample match tonight. Buddy Landell. That's one L, not two. Sailor Art Thomas, apparently from Fitchburg. Eddie Sullivan, along with moveset. Excuse me. Swede Hansen. Rip Hawk. Gentleman Chris Adams. Gino Hernandez. Actually, those two can go into the World Class set. And Gino Hernandez. We've got Coco Beware. Birdman. Stan Lane. Sabu. I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world for you guys to stick around and watch me inventory all of these Legends of Wrestling cards, but I do appreciate you guys hanging around with me a bit tonight for that. We got another card for Big John Studd, which fortunately I can see him in the list, so we'll go ahead and give him an X2. I'll widen the column out. I was wondering if I'd find Brian Knobs in this set, so now I do have the Nasty Boys. 1B or 2? 2. Jeff Hardy. Kind of interesting, always nice to go back to the 80s. Still the best times of your life. Well, glad to know I can help you out with that. Ooh, and we've got Commissioner Watts here. Looks like Bill Watts. So it looks like I can even have a default commissioner here. So I'll put him under the what did I do? Oh, I think that's managers is what I did there. So Bill Watts, commissioner. Then we'll bring the Mid-South set up here. Super Destroyer again. Mr. Wrestling 2. Mustafa Saeed with his moveset. That'll go into the ECW section. The Sandman. We'll put him in Legends as a catch-all. Mad Dog Vachon. This is probably another Dr. Death in color. Yep. And we've got Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal. Okay, that's definitely nothing like the Steve or William Regal that I'm familiar with. It looks like another Stan Lane. And it is. Another Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Apparently that's another one that you ended up liking, incidentally. Jester. That'll go under Legends. Don't know who this guy is. Tommy Rogers. That'll go under Legends. Butcher Vachon. Looks like Bushwhacker Luke. Butch Miller. Looks like the Bushwhackers. Butch Miller. In a lot of sets, that wouldn't surprise me either. Another Bobo Brazil. And that looks like Harley Race with the Domed Globe NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt. Yep, Harley Race. That's probably Michael P.S. Hayes. Nope, Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant. You know, if I didn't know as much about the wrestling business as I do, I would think Boogie Woogie Man is way over the top. That is definitely Hawk. Yep. So I've got another incarnation of the Road Warriors. That's Animal. And that's Kurt Hennig. I don't know if he's under the Mr. Perfect gimmick. Nope. Not here. Let's see, not sure who that is. Dennis Condrey. You thought Mr. Perfect, or you thought Kurt Hennig was more white hair, not blonde. Well, I think he was more blonde, but not true. This is Johnny Valentine. And we went from a gigantic stack to now having about that much left, and it looks like they're all color cards. So I'm just about done inventorying everything. Tom Pritchard. Oh, Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. Well, I wouldn't know. He was probably way before my time. Billy Red Lions. Brad Armstrong. He's NWA. Okay. Again, way before my time. Buddy Rogers. Again. NWA is what would become WCW. I do know some of the story behind that. That was a whole mess. And actually, the NWA was one of the biggest wrestling organizations back in the 80s and back in the, like, probably even as far as the early 80s. I think it was the big thing, where a lot of companies broke off from that. Sorry, I needed to take a drink of my Crystal Light. Ricky Morton. Red Bastion. This is probably Luke Miller, if I had to guess. Luke Williams. Let's see, we've got the Crusher. It combines several Mid-South and Southeast Wrestling Federations and was boosted by getting onto WTBS's flagship cable station. Hence Saturday Night. This looks like Frank Gotch, I think. Nope, Luthez. So it looks like what I'm getting out of this, Ray Stevens, looks like what I'm getting out of this is if I want more modern wrestlers, I probably want to look more into sticking with Downey TV Pro Wrestling. Whereas if I want to go back further into ye olde and ancient times, I probably want Legends of Wrestling. So looks like there's good and bad of both. This one also looked fairly straightforward. This looks like another Stan Hansen. Yep. And I think I see another Nick Bockwinkel on here. Yep. I can already tell storage for this is going to be a pain in the neck, too. Another Magnum TA. That looks like Larry Zbyszko. Yep. Gonna spell that wrong if I try to pull it from memory. This Bruiser Brody. Yep. Let's see, I'm not sure who that is. Tully Blanchard. Oh, and here's a face I recognize. The $1 Million Man himself, Ted DiBiase. Another face I recognize, Macho Man Randy Savage. Looks like Gorgeous George again. Yep. Strange pick of the $1 Million Man. Yeah. And we've got Robert Gibson. One of a kind Rob Van Dam. Looks like another Bobby Eaton. Yep. Another Jimmy Snuka. Yep. And we got Sam Houston. Oh, I recognize the face, but I can't put the name to it. Terry Gordy. That's not Bobby Eaton, I don't think. Nope, it's Bobby Fulton. Wow, I've got 4 wrestlers left from that huge stack that I got. This is Butcher Vachon, I think. Nope, Ivan Koloff. This is definitely the Iron Sheik. Color me unsurprised. This looks like Nikolai Volkov. Yep. That looks like Barry Windham. Yep. And finally, our last wrestler after going through that whole pile is the Masked Superstar. And it looks like I didn't have Tajiri's moveset in there anywhere, but I've got the art if nothing else, unless it got mixed in with... I don't think it got mixed in with anything else, because I went through this whole thing with a very fine-toothed comb. So nope, it doesn't look like I got anything here. So, nope, that looks like everything in here. And Jester did a Volkov-Wyndham match on his stream, apparently. I don't think I was around for that. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have had some smart-ass commentary to chip in with that. But that is somehow everything in the box that comes with that Jester sent me with Legends of Wrestling. So maybe we'll do a sample match tomorrow after I get done with at least my game group coming over tomorrow. We're not sure what we're playing yet, but that's probably one of the longest unboxings I've ever done on the channel, but that's mostly because I wanted to inventory everything I had in here and figure out what all I had. So I've definitely got a lot of stuff for this game. But let's go ahead and wrap this up as I'm starting to ramble a little bit. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up on the channel. Tomorrow morning, we will be continuing the spring campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, with the second scenario, as we are traveling to the Forbidden Peaks. Wednesday, we're playing Welcome To from Blue Cocker Games as we build a suburb. And, yep, thanks for the kind words on the unboxing. And Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Can You Take the Heat cookbook with the entree, Stone Cold's Texas Toast. A wrestling game for a very long unboxing, and a month with a wrestling-themed cookbook. How about that? Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.